Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
And it's a great evening, but we have some serious stuff going on.
Yes, and we have potentially a historic landfall that looks like it's getting more and more likely it will happen. It's still a ways off. Here we see out of AccuWeather, Hurricane Delta forecast to make historic landfall along the Gulf Coast. And yeah, brace yourself, everybody. Like we were saying yesterday, probably all the way to the Texas-Louisiana border and back to the Florida Panhandle. And going to watch this, definitely keep an eye open for this one. So as you see the projected path of Delta, and again, we are in the Greek nomenclature. As we see it strengthening, it's going to develop into a hurricane and actually potentially become a major hurricane. As you see, it's projected right here to become a Category 3 and then perhaps make landfall as a Category 2. But again, they're expecting that those words that we keep hearing all the time, rapid strengthening.
Oh, yeah, those key words. Yep.
So this is the 25th tropical storm of the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season, which is continuing at a record pace, and it's well ahead of the notorious 2005 season, the only other season which required the use of the Greek letters of the alphabet for storms named was in 2005. 6 Greek letters were used that year, and the season concluded with Zeta. So, wow, it's just everything we see again. Records are falling as we look, and this is over at my Fox Hurricane. It's going to go and probably go right through the narrow strait there between the Yucatan and over towards Cuba, and then head towards the northeast. So it's going to make its little curve and then come back through. And again, we're going to have to watch this one. This one again is going to be a record breaker. Now, the models are pretty consistent as we see this, and that definitely shows that anybody again in Louisiana for sure, Alabama, Mississippi, along the coastlines to the Panhandle, get yourself ready because here we go again. Now, Tropical Storm Gamma claimed 6 lives and stalled near the coast of the Yucatan. And this one just got kind of devastated by wind shear, and right now it's just sending its moisture off into Florida. But it did claim 6 lives get installed, and that's so dangerous when these storms just stay in one spot and just deliver tremendous amounts of rain in a very, very little time. And here we see floods and landslides leave 4 missing, over 200 houses submerged. This is in West Java, Indonesia. And again, all the areas where we've seen flooding, there's more and more flooding going on. And I was watching this video with these guys just kind of going around the boat. And they're in such good humor, even though their houses are under 6 feet of water.
They are. They're really just sort of making the best of things, and we could learn a thing or two from them.
Yeah, it's hard to be in a good mood when this is what you got to deal with. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's all in perception. And, probably just thankful that they're still alive, with that type of floodwaters, because there were reports of people being swept away. So it's not just in North America we got devastating wildfires. Paraguay is getting toasted as well. They have a national state of emergency as more than 5,000 wildfires rage amid drought and record hot temperatures across South America. And, there's a lot of people talking about this. You see this tweet, "My country, Paraguay, is on fire." You can see the second pic. That's what I look at when I look out the window. There are fires in all the country. Is it suspicious? Yeah. Is this all just, human-induced climate change? That's what they want to blame it on. And you see this one too. I'm sorry if I don't post a lot these days. "My country is burning." Mm-hmm. Paraguay is in a crisis. "No electricity and no water in many homes. The air is toxic. Firefighters are running out of recourse." And when you look at this video, you think, oh my gosh, how did these guys do it? The flames are almost like burning their butts as they're just moving slightly ahead of it. It's just wild. Paraguay needs help. Our president and government are not doing something for stopping this extreme situation. Our forests and everything is burning, and we need international help right now. We don't have the equipment. So please pray for Paraguay. And it's only one of 2 landlocked nations down in South America. The other one is Bolivia. And it's just sad to see, reminiscent of what's going on up in California as well. And by the way, Brazil's on fire too, from the Amazon to the Pantanal. The environmental heritage of all Brazilians is turning to ashes. It's really sad what's going on. So here they're blaming the government. And in Paraguay, the government said, well, it's just people lighting their trash on fire. Do you really think so? I don't know. There's these strange red lights that seem to be coming out of the sky that Dutch Sense for One keeps catching. And, coincidentally, like where he was looking at it on the radar yesterday, I think it was yesterday or early this morning, fires were popping up in places like Pennsylvania and New York as well. And that automatically makes me think of the Old Testament. When God gets angry, he sends down fire from the sky. But then that makes me think along the lines of all the works of Robert Zephyr and Atlantean Gardens and others who put it out there that, maybe there are beings that survived the last cataclysm, held on to their technology. Perhaps they had help from interdimensional or extraterrestrial beings as well. Things are not like they look. As we see here in Uganda, we have a good friend, Robert, in Uganda, who takes care of an orphanage, and things are really, really challenging over there. Really challenging, so we send our love and prayers to everybody over in Uganda as well. And there's other areas in Africa that are getting hammered too, and it's fire or water, right? It's one or the other that we're seeing devastate. Now, this is where RT, I think, is just kind of selling a little bit, selling fear, selling tabloids. 5 asteroids en route to Earth in just 4 days. There is a lot of asteroid activity, and we've seen a lot of stuff coming in. But when you look at the miles that these are away from us, 3.5 million, a lunar distance is like 239,000 and change, maybe 840 if I remember right. So we get about 100 that come within a lunar distance in a year, a busy year. So when you're talking more than 10 times the lunar distance, there's nothing to be afraid of. Not with those. And all these are at 1.6 and up. So these I wouldn't worry about. When you're within a lunar distance, that's something. And at the same time, last night, I think you missed it, but we were with friends last night. And did you see either of those 2 shooting stars?
I was going in to grab a jacket, and I turned around, and then you guys are all like, yay, and I missed it.
Yeah, we caught a couple of shooting stars. One was pretty bright and brilliant. It was beautiful. So remember Storm Alex that hit Europe. Well, the floods that hit Italy and France from Storm Alex left 9 dead and several missing. So the toll has gone up there as well. But good news here, Venice held back the water for the first time in 1,200 years. So they've been working on basically building these barriers to stop the floods that come in. And at times, Venice has been half the city's been underwater, deep water. Well, this was the first test. And they had a 53-inch high tide forecast, which would normally see about half the city under various levels of water. And when the flood sirens went off, some people chose not to do anything this time because they were going to have faith. And it worked. So that's really good news. And, there was a lot of people pro and con on this idea because of the costs. But look at what's spent on, killing each other with the militaries. So, if you got to do more projects like this, then let's do more projects like this and save lives. And we have a study that shows that Tierra Blanca Joven eruption, and this is in Mexico in 431 CE. It was a massive eruption, and it actually shot out 10 times as much magma as you saw in Vesuvius. It would have killed everybody within 25 miles around the volcano. And so that occurred, they're dating it to 431 CE. And this was a massive, major eruption. And we've been all over the American Southwest, and we've seen some evidence of some pretty good size eruptions.
Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff laying around that's pretty telling.
It is. And, the question is, how often does it happen? And, like, when you look at the cycle we're in now, which bears resemblance to some of the more devastating cycles in the past, what will we see? So more than 2 million square kilometers, or 772,000 square miles of Central America was covered with at least half a centimeter of ash. It would have been dark over the region for at least a week. And so the eruption was more than 50 times bigger than Mount St. Helens, going back into 1980. And as we said, 10 times the amount of flow as the volume from Vesuvius. Pretty impressive. It would have been pretty scary to live through if you were close enough to see it, but far enough to escape the crushing downfall of all that. So beware of piggyback storms, is basically piggyback CMEs. Solar storms more severe when two events slipstream behind each other. Basically, what they found in this study is that the first one will kind of pave the way for the second one, and the impact of the second one will be more potent.
Well, that makes sense. Kind of like if you go behind a semi-truck, the semi-truck is moving all that energy for you, so you just sort of flow, and then so it's sort of kind of the same thing.
Yeah, and I had a Chevy Impala. Yeah. That was my first car, 1970 Chevy Impala. Yeah, I think I got like 8 miles per gallon because it needed some work. But I used to draft all the time.
That's what it's called, drafting.
In order to make it to school.
Yeah.
So, without breaking my budget as far as my gas allowance.
Well, you do what you got to do, and it looks like these things they know how to draft.
They do. So it's very interesting, and they bring up the 1859 Carrington event, which if it happened today in this world, we would be in deep doo-doo. Yeah, because look at how dependent we are on everything. And so it does feel like it's only a matter of time before we get hit with either a CME or that other man-made alternative.
We don't want to talk about that.
EMP. Let me put it out to you guys, for anybody that wants to comment. Do you think it's more likely that a CME will knock out the grid before an EMP, or an EMP before a CME?
I kind of think that they would want to control the situation, they being those nameless, faceless people.
So that we don't know. We don't know exactly what happened.
Right.
So just more evidence of NASA fudging things and, agendas here. As you see, NASA has removed 0.45 degrees centigrade from 1880 to 1950 trend in order to make it look like human-induced carbon emissions are driving things, to a much higher degree, caught with their hands in the cookie jar. See, this is where we can't trust any of the powers that be. How can we trust them? We just can't. And maybe they learned a lot from the Anunnaki gold miners. As we see here, this is from Live Science. There's too much gold in the universe. No one knows where it came from. Something is showering gold across the universe, but nobody knows what it is.
Weird.
It's the Anunnaki Santa Claus coming around.
Thank goodness. I always wondered about that.
Right? That's interesting. So gold's an element, which means you can't make it through ordinary chemical reactions. Though alchemists tried for centuries. Well, maybe you can, maybe you can't. We'll let you guys comment about that as well. To make the sparkly metal, you have to bind 79 protons and 118 neurons together to form a single atomic nucleus. That's an intense nuclear fusion reaction, but such intense fusion doesn't happen frequently enough, at least not nearby, to make a giant trove of gold we find on Earth and elsewhere in the solar system. And a new study has found that the most commonly theorized origin of gold, collisions between neutron stars, can't explain gold's abundance either. So where's all the gold coming from? There are some possibilities, including supernovas so intense they turn a star inside out. Unfortunately, even such strange phenomena can't explain how blinged out the local universe is, a new study finds. So it's so fast they're getting into supernovas and neutron stars. they don't know, or they do know, but they don't tell us.
Right.
But even so, to me, when we think of gold, automatically I start thinking about those Anunnaki stories. And there was a story I came across, and I didn't share it with you guys, but it was talking about the fact that gold on Earth is running out. That was the headline on the story. Gold on Earth is running out. So does that mean that the Anunnaki are just going to forget about us and leave us alone?
Well, maybe that would be a blessing.
I think it would. Guys, thank you so much for your support on Patreon and also on Ko-Fi. We couldn't do it without you. Stay prepared out there. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.